Welcome to the latest edition of Talking Absolute Ballox with myself, Niall Reardon, and the nature boy himself, Gary Gaz McDevitt. Hey, Gaz.
Hey, Niall, how's it going?
Not bad. I just want to put it on record. I never liked the FA Cup anyway, and I've never said I did. Just to get that out of the way in this episode of it. Joined again today by Derek Payton, who's our Spurs fan. We have Paul Byrne, who's our Arsenal fan. And we have Damien O'Keefe, who's our Norwich fan.
Oh, thanks.
Get on, lads. So obviously, myself, Damien, and Burnsy are all out of the FA Cup. Gary and Derek are still in. Quick rundown of the results. United beat Liverpool 3-2 in what I thought was actually probably one of the best games of the weekend. Then you had Barnsley and Norwich, 1-0 Barnsley.
Sorry, my connection just went there. Can you just go over that first one again?
I'll come back to it at the end of the show, yeah. Then you have Southampton 1, Arsenal 0, and Spurs beating Wickham in a good game last night as well, actually, 4-1. So we'll start with you, Derek. What did you make of the game last night?
I kind of only had to watch highlights, but I suppose I'm not surprised. It's typical FA Cup. Like there's obviously a shock on the cards at some stage, and but I'd say like he emptied the bench, and it eventually came good. Like I'd say, I was hoping that he wouldn't have to, because it was still a very good side out. Like they have a very good squad. You know, Bale, Lucas Moura, these guys bringing those on as their second string is a pretty good place to be. So, but once he emptied the bench, I'd say it just had too much in the end, and Dombele in particular is in a good run of form, so he's banging in the goals at the moment and looks like he's a record signing. He's over 50 million quid, so he'd want to be delivering. But just that quality in the end, I suppose. You know, when you that quality in the pitch, it eventually tells. So no matter what the score was, if you just get through those games, 1-0, 2-0 before one, it's just good to see us scoring goals as well. You know, so happy.
And good to see Bale getting one.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it was like his pace is gone more or less, but like he's still a class player, so he's not going to be as dynamic as he ever was, you know, back in the good old days. But he still has quality, you know. So he's going to play enough games. He's not going to be first choice ever, I don't think, at the moment. So, but not a bad fallback to have, you know.
Yeah. All right, Gary, we'll get this out of the way. Just on Liverpool for me, I think there was some bright points in the second half. I think when Firmino came into it, it kind of that obviously with two good goals as well. Not going to say we deserved it or anything like that. I thought United did at the end of it, but I do think that when United go for it and they actually attack teams, they're such a better looking team. And I think if you went for it like you did on Sunday against us in the league game, I think you would have beat us comfortably as well. When United are in full flow and they're going forward, they are frightening, and I think that's the defensive approach. It's not attractive. I know it gets results, but I think even if you went the other way and tried to come at teams, I think that you could be as well comfortably, you know. Or what do you think of it?
Yeah, like we still conceded 2 soft goals, so that's the thing. Like there was 2 avoidable goals defensively by going for it. I thought United were good. I thought Liverpool were good too. Liverpool played to just score a goal. I think they just played to try and get that monkey off their back a little bit, which made for it to be a good game. I think they both played sort of 75% of the first team, which made it even better. But you know, I thought Van der Beek would be better. He wasn't that good at all. I was a bit disappointed in him, to be honest. But I know he's only been thrown in and out. But Greenwood and Rashford were good. Cavani was excellent again. But it was a good game. They both tried to play it at least, which was a change. I think if Thiago had been a little bit more manly, he might have stopped that goal, to be honest. I know it was going straight for his head, but he just jumped out of the way.
No, yeah, he should definitely be sticking everything in front of that, like just taking them out or whatever, like, you know. The one thing I thought was a bit strange was Pogba getting man of the match. I didn't think he was as good in that game as he was in the league game. But
Pogba's driving us to the treble this year, buddy. Don't worry about that. Pogba deserves it every time he plays.
I know, but honestly, I think the media are buying into the whole Pogba's coming on now and they're just giving him like Jermaine Genius giving him. There was better United players on the day. I thought Shaw was very good again. He done a good job. You know, Salah got 2 goals off him, but I still thought Shaw was good. Like
Shaw was at fault for the first goal. His positioning was all over the place. He wasn't covering around. I think like Pogba was good. I think there was a few. I thought Rashford caused all sorts of problems. I thought he was probably the best transition player on the pitch. But to be honest, if you can get that level out of Pogba consistently, he makes a massive difference to that team.
Yeah, we see now when the transfer window closes what kind of Pogba comes back after that. All right, Damien, over to yourself. What do you do?
Yeah,
What do you make of the
well.
game?
Which game are you talking about? My own game?
The Barnsley Norwich game.
Yeah, I watched the Barnsley game, and I know I said Friday night that I think the FA Cup was, being honest, kind of subdued a bit for me. I actually enjoyed Saturday's game because it was a throwback to the old days. The first thing I looked at was the pitch. The pitch was all cut up. That's the kind of football I want to see. So even though Norwich and Barnsley in the same division, it looked like Norwich were dropping down a couple of leagues into the old-fashioned kind of stadium, which didn't appeal to us. Now, the other side is you have to hats off to Barnsley, the way Barnsley played. Barnsley were fantastic. We had our normal stats of 73, 74% possession, but it was all Barnsley. Barnsley had a high press. So this new football that the likes of Leeds are playing, Liverpool played it, Man City played, which you're involving your keeper. There's no such thing as a goal kick anymore. All is put down and it's played to two centre halves. Two centre halves drop down to the box. I don't know, is that the kind of football that I like or dislike? You're asking the keeper to play football when he shouldn't be playing football. He's there to save goals. I don't think every goalkeeper can play as a sweeper or as an outfield player. And Barnsley recognised that and they put a high press. So Norwich had 73% possession, but all along our back four, which, to be fair, I had the stats there. Barnsley had 10 shots on target with 29% possession, which is ridiculous. Tim Krul had 10 saves. That's phenomenal. For 29% possession is ridiculous. I think Norwich had 0 shots on target. One hit the crossbar, but that's not technically a shot on target. As the game went on and Barnsley dominated, I think Norwich were looking for Barnsley's press to slow down. Their efforts didn't. To be fair, they kept going. They really, really wanted the game. That's from a Barnsley point of view. From our own point of view, we brought on the likes of Ali Skip came on, Windia came on, and you can see Norwich's quality starting to take over smaller. Having said that, Windia came on and he looked like a guy who was kind of sulking, not really wanting to show for the ball, and there was that element as well. So if you look at our back four was unchanged because we haven't got the strength in the squad to change many personnel. We might have one centre half, Zimmerman, who I think was injured. You look at the midfield, there was 5 changes in the midfield. Lucas Rupp, first game back since November with an injury. We also had, I think it was Kieran Dowell from Everton. He was out since September. We also had Onel Hernandez, first start back in again. And you look at Jordan Ugal up front, who has been scoring the goals for us recently in Pukki's absence. He got injured in the 60th minute. We brought on a young boy who never played first team football before. This is only his maybe 3rd appearance off the bench. The guy hasn't even gone out on loan. And for him to play half an hour of an FA Cup game just shows the lack of strength that Norwich do have. So you have the likes of Pukki and you have the likes of Ugal. So the strength isn't there. We have a crux of a starting 13, 14, 15 players. But if you lose 5 or 6 of them, that's squad is not strong enough. And it showed. Barnsley gave it everything. Pushed us high press, didn't leave us out, and their tactics were spot on.
Yeah,
So
I think I thought Barnsley were
excellent.
I think they realised that put all their eggs into one basket and just go for it. You know, they started strong.
Again, it goes back to what I said. It depends on where your team is at the time. Were Norwich looking for an FA Cup run? They weren't. They were probably looking for, listen, this could be a chance to get a few lads back from their injury, get them a few minutes on the pitch. Whether we win or lose, our most important thing is next Saturday's game. And I think that's basically the way they worked it out. So the result for Barnsley looking for momentum, and that's what happens. Winning games, regardless if it's a League Cup game or an FA Cup game, it's all about momentum for them. They went to push the game, they won the game, and they move on to the next round, and it's confidence for their boys. But for our fellas, I'd say it was just not to get minutes on the pitch, and hopefully we got through, but we obviously didn't.
Yeah, look, bigger fish to fry for you come the season anyway, like, you know. Marty, what about yourself? Arsenal and Southampton?
I said on Friday we didn't know which Arsenal was going to turn up. It was easy to see. It wasn't the slick football playing Arsenal anyway. Like Bellerin at right back, he was absolutely awful. When you got Hector Bellerin wearing the captain's armband leading you, you know you're in trouble. Cedric Suarez playing left back, like he's awful, absolutely awful. I think him and Bellerin are having a competition between how many foul throws they could each give away during the season. And Lenny and Xhaka, I was surprised at Xhaka, like he tried to influence the game. I was his biggest critic in the last year or two. I genuinely do think he's after coming on a bit for us. And Lenny wasn't there. They were walking through us. Martinelli, he was trying to make things happen. But again, he had Willian and Pepe alongside him. Like, Williams had 2 attempts on goal in the 12 appearances he's had for Arsenal. Like, whoa. He's woeful. Like, the transfers, I think that man got a 3-year contract. A 3-year contract, and he's just woeful. Pepe then, like, record signing 72 million. I know everyone's gone on about him, but he's the most frustrating players to watch. We've signed some absolute donkeys down through the years, and he's up there. He's absolutely up there. There's nothing, like, he'll track back just to make it look like he's tracking back. He can't tackle. He can't take down a ball. He can't run with the ball. He actually tripped over himself the other day. He tripped over the ball, and this fella's worth 72 million. There was nothing going up to Nketiah up top. They made the changes too late, bringing Saka on. Yeah, look, it's just that Arsenal. Like, I hope they turn up tonight. Aubameyang's out, but I just hope that, like, those fellas were playing potentially to get a place in the team or even in the squad tonight, and they're not next or near the level that's needed. Like, that just shows you what's wrong with Arsenal. Like, the transfer policy down through the years, the last couple of years has been absolutely atrocious. Again, mentioned the likes of Willian, 3-year contract, Pepe, 72 million. There's another few names in there as well, like what happened with Ozil and all that kind of stuff as well. It's not good enough, and just hopefully they'll give a performance tonight and just try to even get some momentum going again. The last time we went on a run and lost the game was Aston Villa. We got spanked 3-0, and that was, I think, the start of December, and we didn't do anything then again up until 5-6 games ago. Like, but that would have been the start of November, and we've done nothing then since then. Until we went on a run a few games ago. So hopefully we can pick that up again. If not, I thought top 6 might be in aim when we started gathering momentum there the last couple of weeks. We'd be lucky to finish top 10.
So you're pleased with it all?
Yeah. They're atrocious, like, they're absolutely atrocious. There's no backbone in that team. Like, Xhaka goes around thinking he's a Roy Keane, or he's going around thinking he's a big boy. Like, he's an absolute numpty.
What are you though? Like, you know, what are you comparing yourself to? You're just a mid-table team, like.
Careful, no you. And
no, but like,
you just said
the
like,
team you put out at the weekend.
But like that team, those players, like, again, like William was unbelievable at Chelsea. I think he got their Player of the Year. Was it last year, the year before? Like, he's a good player. He's a good Premiership player. It's not like he came.
33 or 34 though. He's on the way down. Like, you've
Gary,
given him a big long contract.
Yeah, but exactly. Like, but he should still be able to do something. Like, he's playing at a level that, like, he's just not good enough. Like he wouldn't get into the Newcastle team at this stage. He's just not good enough. Like, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I think you've your squad's terrible, to be honest. Like, looking at the team.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
that team that went out the last day gets relegated nearly, I think.
It doesn't have
close enough to it. They'll be close enough to it. Like, we have very, very good players that I mentioned the other night. With Aubameyang there, Lacazette is there. I think Leno's a top keeper. Gabriel, it was his first game back the other day. He didn't have the greatest game. Obviously, got the own goal as well. But still, like we have good players. We just don't have players coming in that can support that. Like, that team the other day, as Gary said, I wouldn't go as far as getting relegated, but they wouldn't be far off it either. Like,
yeah, I think, you know, you look at everybody apart from Arsenal. Like, Spurs have something to play for. They're playing top 4. Liverpool United are playing top 4 of the league. Norwich are playing for promotion. But, like, Arsenal are sort of 9th or 10th in the league and mid-table amount of points. I don't know where they go next. You know, you want to win. Like, you won the cup last year, as you said on Friday night. You won the cup last year, and it was like as if it was a good season. But,
yeah, absolutely. That only just that covered up the cracks that are there. That's all that done. It gave Arteta a great start. It gave false hope. I think Arteta is very, very good, but I know we talk about Lampard in a while, but Arsenal seeing Lampard getting the sack yesterday could very well now make them think, actually, we might send him on it. I hope they don't. I think Arteta is going to be very, very good for us in time. He just needs to be given the time.
Yeah.
I'd sack him and bring Rafa.
I'd sack him and bring in Hasenhüttl, to be honest.
Or Rodgers.
Rodgers. I take Rodgers. Not that fraud clock anyway.
All right, lads. So, Barnesy just touched on it. We spoke about Lampard on Friday night. We all kind of said, some of us said he had a couple of games left. Some of us thought he had a couple of months left. Some thought we'd give him on to the end of the season. The Abramovich had different ideas. Got rid of him after they win 3-0. Was it 3-0? 3-1?
3-1, yeah.
So What do you think, Gaz? Tuchel coming in?
Yeah, I think Tuchel coming in is good for Chelsea. I think as long as he comes in as the head coach, like Chelsea, like every manager going into Chelsea knows that Granit is going to do all the transfer dealing. They're going to be left with multiple players that they might not want, so they just have to coach them. That's all. They need to be on the training pitch with them. And I think Tuchel's the way the German teams work is sort of comes from that. Like Klopp's the same. They all have directors of sport and directors of football to do that for them. So he probably will be a little bit more used to it than Frank. Frank probably came into that role thinking, I'm going to like Uncle Larry and I'm going to be able to sign whoever I want and build a team on my signings. But that's not the way it works at Chelsea. And I think people need to realize that. And Chelsea job it's an 18-month job. It's no longer than that. Like I don't remember since Ancelotti probably, or was it who's lasted more than 2 or 3 years in that job? Like
Probably Mourinho's first time around, but 18-month contract is all he's after getting given now as well. It's probably the shortest I've heard of any young manager getting in England. Normally you bring Allardyce in on that, or Pardew or Corbishley or one of these guys. You bring them in short term because you don't actually want them at the club, but you want to survive relegation. But to bring him in on an 18-month contract is it's a bit of a strange one. Derek, what do you make of it?
Yeah, look, not unexpected. We were saying last week, like I think they should have stayed with him, but I mean, the chances were they were going to get rid of him once they backed him with 200 million quid and he didn't deliver instantly. Then but it's a bad model. It's worked for him in the past. In fairness, it hasn't worked for him of late. But the whole hiring and firing thing and throwing good money after bad seems to work because they've been in the bottomless pit. So, like when he comes in, will he fancy Havertz? Will he fancy Werner? Will he fancy Thiago Silva, who he played with in PSG? I think didn't necessarily leave in the best of terms. So, Tuchel is probably the right man for Chelsea in that regard. Like he's a bit of a yes man. I never really struck me as he did well in Germany. We went to PSG, and I'd say he wasn't doing anything there. Basically, he was just sitting in the dressing room, I'd say, and the lads are picking the team. Mbappe and Neymar and stuff. And to Gary's point, like he's going to go to Chelsea and he's not going to have any control over signings, that kind of stuff. He's going to be a bit of a yes man. So look, it's a bad way to run a club, but I wouldn't like my club run that way. Or I'd say the lads are the same. You'd rather they bought into even the Arteta model of kind of blooding youth and sticking with it. And I'd say he tried to do that, but I think by the sounds of it, Lampard was forcing his hand too much on signings, and he wanted Declan Rice, and he wanted all these kind of top name signings and a load of money, and I'd say patience just ran thin. So not unexpected, but it wasn't going anywhere fast either. They weren't going to finish anywhere. They probably weren't going to finish top four. Is this going to give them a boost? Who knows? It's Chelsea. They're mad as a box of frogs, to be honest. So glad they're not my club.
You saw the Lampard quote about Villas-Boas when he got sacked from Chelsea, did you?
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's actually as if like he was predicting the future about himself, but he was dead right back then as well. It came too soon for Villas-Boas, so it's obviously after coming too soon for Lampard. What about Celtic, Derek? Could you see him going there? Up as rivaling Stevie G?
No.
Flat out.
It's a bit of a like Stevie G's going there for the short term with eyes on bigger prize, and I'd say he said he go up there now. It's kind of a really lose really in a way. I mean, Rodgers left at a good and a bad time for himself actually, but like, I don't know what's going to happen there actually. Like that league has gone to the dogs altogether. It was always rough, like, but I mean, at the top when it was going well there, Celtic could compete in the Champions League, whereas now it's gone way downhill. Like when Shane Duffy is struggling up there, and you think that's made for him, like that league, if he's scoring 25 a season, like you're kind of going, there's something wrong, like so. No, I suppose just on Lampard as well. Like I think like I never had much time from anywhere because like I don't know. There was even listening to Tony Cascarino the other day on the radio. Himself and Lawrence are on the last word or sometimes, and he was saying he was giving some review on a game. He gave Lampard 9 out of 10 and someone else 10 out of 10. And Lampard rang him and said, "Look, why you should give me a 10 out of 10 above your man because I play for Chelsea and where's your loyalties and stuff." I'd say he's a complete knob, to be honest. Like I'd say he's a chip on the shoulder like no one's business. So
I think he should just jack it up. I think he should just go into punditry at this stage. Like, where does he go next? Like, Chelsea was the job he wanted. He got the Chelsea job. He wasn't great at it. He's not going to go down like as being terrible at it, but just what's the point? By all reviews that I've seen, he's not supposedly great tactically. He's not a great coach. Is Declan Rice the answer to that team to play centre half? Not from what I've seen of Declan Rice. He's definitely not. Like, so I think you should just give it up. Be done with it.
He'll float around the place now. He'll be the one of the new boys that were floating the Mark Hughes kind of era. He'll be down with he'll be with Bournemouth and Fulham and just bouncing around between clubs for a few years. And what about you, Damien? What do you make of it all?
like I said today, I'm kind of shocked that he's gone. To be fair, I don't see why they sack him when they have to win an FA Cup game. I think that's strange. Why not sack him before that? Going into the game, it's different if they lost. Yes, you could say, right, fair enough. They made a knee-jerk reaction. Going back to the Tuchel thing signing, I think he could be a good signing because I think Dortmund have changed coaching for the last 10, 15 years. They have brought this policy in where they have a sporting director, so Tuchel fits that model perfectly. Now, again, not every club have it. I know we have it. Farke came from Dortmund, so did Klopp, so did Wagner, who was in charge of Huddersfield 2-3 years ago. And it works with certain individuals. And I think Tuchel will change Chelsea. However, I still think it was a knee-jerk reaction for Frank. I didn't really, as a player, he was always a player to me who would do nothing for 80 minutes and then get a winner. And all of a sudden, he's the most anonymous player. And then all of a sudden his record speaks for itself at the same time. But for him to get sacked, I don't know where he goes from here, to be fair. Then again, these guys, they get sacked. It's probably the only profession in the world that you can get sacked, moved on to another job within the next week, which is kind of ridiculous. But maybe Tuchel is the man to do it. But again, 18-month contract. What can you do in 18 months?
Yeah, exactly.
This window's over, so you're talking about the summer. And another January, that's for me is too short. Football, you can't change football instantly. And as the lad said, it is instant. If you don't get into success, you're in trouble. And I think that's the price that Lampard did pay, which is a tough one. It's a tough gig for him, to be fair.
Well, it's football.
Yeah, maybe it was a poison chalice as well. There's some jobs out there that you just don't go to at the right time and the wrong time. You look at when Fergie left United. Anyone who was getting that job was in trouble straight away, regardless, because you have to follow the footsteps of what was there ahead of you. So I think it was Moyes that went there at the time. You have to go back. You go back down and rebuild. Moyes is at West Ham. He's doing very well. Maybe that's something for Lampard to do, depending on who wants him, who's available, where does he want to go. Whether he wants to go to Celtic, I don't think Scottish football is for Frank, being honest. I don't think it's that calibre of what he's used to. As the lads were saying there, he's probably big-headed. That's probably beneath him as far as I'm concerned. It's probably Premiership top 6, top 7 teams he's all interested in. Other than that, I don't know where he goes from there, being honest.
But he doesn't have the history to get any of these jobs. That's what I don't understand. I don't think there's any hope of him getting any of them jobs. He has nothing to back it up. Moyes at least had 7 years at Everton to back it up. But Lampard has nothing. He finished 6th with Derby. Didn't get them promoted through the playoffs. I think he's going to be going championship, to be honest.
Barnesy, what about you? Anything, Dad, that we didn't touch on, maybe?
No, agree with everything. Very surprised that he got the sack when he did. Genuinely thought, as I said the other night, they'd give him an extra maybe 6 weeks, see where they are then. There's a few things in the press, right? He's definitely ruined his reputation with the club. He's to be their all-time top scorer, if we treat it like that, wasn't allowed to go back to say goodbye to the players, not allowed into the training room, anything like that. I know there's COVID or whatever, but they're still in that bubble. He still should have been allowed to go in and say his goodbyes. That's a horrible way to treat someone who's so loyal to the club for so long. I think is it Niall, you said that he'd be floating around the likes of Fulham, Bournemouth, those kind of clubs. I think that's where he'll end up. Maybe end up at West Ham in time when Moyes inevitably loses the plot and Souček leaves and someone else leaves and they're fighting a relegation battle. So I think you could end up at West Ham, someone like there. Definitely not Scottish football anyway. I think Stevie G's gone up there he's just cemented Rangers to where they are. The way Liverpool are going at the minute, he could be Liverpool manager next season if Klopp doesn't get his stuff together. But that's time will tell.
This show isn't Bash Niall show, we know that, Jesus, every week, every show, every episode, I get hammered.
I think he done well to say next season. I thought he was going to say next week.
All right, last thing, lads. Who's winning the FA Cup? We go again because I think some of our picks might be out. I'll go with. I'm gonna stick with Leicester. I'd say. Gary.
I think United are going to win it now.
Barnesy.
City.
Damien.
I'm going to stick with City as well. Yeah, City.
And last word to the man whose club normally do things years that end with one.
They're still in it, I nominated him last Friday. I'm not going to move now, not after 4-1 hammering of the mighty Wickham, So
it's all uphill from there, really, isn't it?
I know. I think they have a good shout. I think they do as good a shout as anyone. There's some good teams left in it, but just look at a draw. You get some handy draws and get through to this quarters or semis there quite easily. So, yeah, I think it's there to be won.
All right, lads. Thanks for being on, and for those watching, like and subscribe if you can, or if you want to leave comments on what you wanted to see us do next week or over the next couple of weeks, that'd be great as well. So again, lads, thanks from me and thanks from the Nature Boy himself.